friends have started collecting coins. Chris has 4/5 the amount Dan has. Ben has 1.5 times what Chris has. Alex has 4/3 the amount that Dan has. Who has the most coins? Alright, so this is a lot of information, so let's just begin with the very first piece. Chris has 4/5 the amount Dan has. So Chris has less than Dan. But let's start with Dan. Because Dan, so if Chris has 4/5 what Dan has, that means Dan has 5/5. So we can take this box and say, this is Dan's amount. So we can divide this up into fifths. So Dan has 5/5. Chris has 4/5 of this. So we have Chris, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4/5. So this is 4/5 of what Dan has. So you can see that Chris has less than Dan. Let's move on. Ben has 1.5 times what Chris has. Okay, so Chris has this distance. And so Ben has 1.5 times this. So we have Ben. So 1.5 times this distance will be exactly one of those distances plus half of it. So this distance here added on. Like that. So this is how much Ben has. 1.5 times this one. And Alex has 4/3 the amount that Dan has. So Alex is going to have more than Dan. But right now his box is divided up into fifths. But maybe let's draw an equivalent box, same exact length, right below it, just to help us out. Let me draw that better. Same exact length, but we're going to divide this box up into thirds to make our lives easier. So Alex has 4/3 the amount that Dan has. So these are the same. This is still Dan. But we're going to draw Alex below that. So 4/3. So this is 3/3 here. So if we want 4, we're going to have 4 of those exact same length pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how much Alex has. He has 4/3. So here's 3/3, 1, 2, 3, and then a fourth one. So who has the most coins? Alex does. You can see his length of his strip here is longer than everyone else's. Therefore, the answer is A.